This is Andrew Hada from Nothing Ventured Media. I want to tell you about all the feature films we've made and how you can see them right now. The last one is a zombie drama about how a pandemic and isolation could drive a group of people mad. When the virus hits, John finds himself alone and scared until he meets Michael, his protector. But when Karina, another survivor, enters the mix, everything that John and Michael knew will be turned on its head. The last one's is a zombie virus movie that's somehow even more relevant today. Plus, it has zombies. Check it out. Borderland is a mexploitation film about living in El Paso. When Sarah finds herself in debt to the cartels, she has until sunrise to find some missing monies with the help of her executioner. Borderland is a true midnight movie and a lot of fun. The documentary Humble Spirits tells the story of the Hahn family, including champion Jennifer Hahn from El Paso, Texas. The entire Hahn family has grown up in the combat sports and has helped shape who they are both in and out of the ring. Humble Spirits, A Family of Fighters, is the perfect documentary for boxing fans of all ages. Finally, The Empty Space, winner of multiple awards, including the Sacramento Horror Film Festival's Best of the Best, is a cosmic horror about Amy Andrews, who's dealing with anxiety and depression after a violent attack that killed her husband. As she tries to find herself, she starts to lose her grasp on reality. Or could it be something much more sinister? The Empty Space is full of twists and turns, with Grace DeWilder of Rue Morgue magazine calling it a powerful film full of excellent performances by practically every cast member. All of Andrew Hada's movies are available to rent or buy on streaming services such as Tubi, Amazon, and many other places. And if that's not enough for you, Hada Films is home to all of our short films. So take a look around and see what you like. Spend your day with Hada Films and Nothing Ventured Media. Now, let's start the bomb squad.
Less 30 because I was like, I got none of that. So.
What is this, talking time?
I mean, that's literally what it is. It's talking.
That is what it is, yeah.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Bomb Squad. Josh is very eager to get started, it seems. I'm Andrew Hada.
So excited to cover
writer, director, producer, caterer, connoisseur.
Yeah. Caterer of what?
Guy. Well, I did catering on the movie sometimes. Welcome to the Bomb Squad, guys. We review underappreciated and overrated movies, and sometimes we review these kind of movies. But before we begin, I want to... I'm with my co-host, Josh, which we already introduced because he was talking. And also William Murdoch. No more talking in this talking podcast, Josh.
Hello.
William Murdoch, my composer, he's gotten some cool beats. He's getting some fresh beats. William, why don't you throw some beats on that mic? Perfect. That's why you're gonna get scared, guys, because of what's not there. Also, before we start, so like we said, we're filmmakers. We just made a slasher film, which we hope you'll watch. If this is when it's already released, go check it out on my shorts page. If it's now, you gotta wait. But part of it, like the main character was like a horror buff, and so we decorated her room with a bunch of horror things. You know, I put my posters in there. One of the cool things is we got some art donated to us. Jonah Alvarez, he donated this picture that I'm pointing at right now. It's icons of horror. You see, like there's I'll put a bigger picture of it on the side. So there's like Jigsaw in the middle. There's a Trick or Treat. Oh, Samwise from Trick or Treat. Chucky's there, of course. Freddy and Jason, and Michael Myers. If you listen to our history of slasher guys, our favorite slashers, you saw all those guys. We kind of talked about all of them. But yeah, it's a pretty cool piece of art. Go check out Jonah's. I'm gonna put his Instagram on the side here. It's Jonah_Alvarez 008. But yeah, go follow him. Check out his art. It's pretty cool. He does commissions every once in a while. So yeah, thank you, Jonah, and check out Followed. It's gonna be in the background somewhere. Go find it. But yeah, now that that's out of the way, let's talk about this movie. So today we talked about 2002's, just 1 year after that terrible tragedy. The movie we're talking about is D-Tox, also
God,
known as
okay.
ICU. That was a Norm Macdonald joke. I don't know.
Um,
So I
we should
always say
say,
that about
yeah, if you're trying to look this up, you either have to, it's spelled out IEYE, like your actual I, CCU,
yeah,
or D hyphen TOX.
yeah,
So it's
Not
two
D-box.
distinctly terrible titles.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Very
And we'll
separate.
talk about in a second why it's called that, but why it's called
honestly,
those two
Detox
things.
makes more sense, but
No, well, okay,
also
we'll
not
get
at
to
the
it.
same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was directed by Jim Gillespie. Is this your fault, Jim? Written by Howard Swindle. Howard, come on.
Yeah.
And also Ron L. Birkenhoff. I'll let you
My
off the
boy.
hook.
My boy.
It
Yeah.
stars Stallone, Sylvester Stallone.
Oh, that's
our-
why you have the shirt. Gotcha.
Our favorite Italian. They call him the Italian Stallion, Josh. Well, not anymore since he's broken our hearts, but we don't have to talk about that. It also stars Charles S. Dutton. It stars Chris Christopherson. It stars Jeffrey Wright. Jeffrey Wright in an early role.
Yeah.
Tom Berenger and Stephen Lang. Oh my God, that was Stephen Lang. Oh, and then of course it stars the T-1000 himself.
And Jason Patrick.
Robert Patrick.
Or no?
No, I don't think.
Who's the guy from Sean Patrick Flannery? Isn't he in there?
Yes, Sean Patrick Flannery is also. I forgot he's in this movie.
Yeah.
I also forgot that Robert Prosky's in this movie, and I saw it today. So Josh, how about you detox us from this película?
Or retox us.
You gotta. I mean, it's like asking me to sum up War and Peace, but I'll try.
Yeah,
exactly the same.
A cop is hunting a serial killer, and then he goes to rehab, but the serial killer has infiltrated the rehab to play sick games with him.
To play their own game.
But
I would say this. Oh well, never mind.
We need to talk about this rehab center because
this
thing's incredible.
Wait, hold on. We haven't gotten there yet.
I know. Okay, we need to talk about the really bad first 15 minutes.
We don't even get to the
then the really bad second 15 minutes.
But before we continue, I want to say, so this is the reason I want to cover this movie is because this is Sylvester Stallone's only horror. He's done sci-fi, he's done romance, he's done comedy, sometimes unintentionally. But this is his only horror, and he really I don't know why he's never done horror. Well, when you watch this, you kind of understand. But I thought it'd be interesting to see someone who never does horror. It's kind of like that movie that Clint Eastwood did, Hereafter. That's like the only time he's ever done something mystical.
At the time, I liked that movie. Yeah. I feel like if I watched that again, I might not like it, but I like
it. It'd be a good revisit.
Yeah,
because I agree. I'm the same. I was like, huh.
But
it's better than I thought.
But one of the things, and so this movie's wild. Let's start from the beginning. So at the very beginning, there's a bunch of cops in a bar, and they're all like joking around with each other. And Stallone is a Fed, and they're all joking around. They're like, hey, blah blah blah. They're like, hey, you're not a man. He's like, I'm a man. You're not, and like it's the same thing, you know. And then they start talking about how a serial killer is aiming for cops. He's like only targeting cops. And then one of the cops that's sitting there, I think, is that Stephen Lang? Maybe.
I'm not sure.
It's someone you've seen before, and I want to say it was Stephen Lang. But anyway, so he's like
a very nice man, self-reportedly so.
He's like, hey, you're just letting this guy kill us, and like there's no stopping him. And you don't even care about us, Fed. And also, you were a cop originally, and then you became a Fed, and now you're a Fed, and you don't like us anymore. Here's more exposition.
Like he was from their crew. He was from their crew.
And they were literally just laughing 1 second ago about like nonsense. Right. And then
he's buying them drinks.
And then Stallone is like, "Hey man, I'm on your side. Wake up. I'm Cobra." And then the guy's like, "Oh yeah, actually you're right. You are our friend. I forgot since you walked over there." And now I remembered again that we're friends. And then but that's the entire movie. Like that movie goes from like, oh, this is like the fun times before like all the shit hits the storm. But then it becomes like, oh no, this is serious and showing what Stallone's dilemma is and like kind of how he's ostracized from the police. Oh, but no, it's the fun times again. Ha ha. It's like, what do you want us to take from this scene?
It's not like, every scene will switch tones like that, but also like you say like horror. Stallone is never in a horror movie. Everyone else is, but he is in. He is still in Cobra. That does not change.
And so
at any point.
Then that mean cop, the mean cop getting killed that you're supposed to sympathize with is going to be a reoccurring theme in this movie. Then that mean cop goes home and they ring the doorbell and he's like, "Let me stick my eyeball right in front of it. I can't see it without my eye." And then the guy has a drill that's small enough to fit in the peephole, and so it's not big, but anyway, so then
it's powerful. It's powerful enough to send him flying across a room.
And it's also funny because he reacts like, "Oh man, that hurt." It's like, no man, your eye would be missing from your skull. That would hurt.
He like flies across his living room.
He does. He
like gets hit, and he like, it's the craziest drill.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Did he shoot him with the drill?
We should say too that this serial killer is really kind of positioned to be kind of a Seven style, like he's always one step ahead sicko.
Yeah, and we'll get to the Seven comparison at the end.
The way the movie
it's
plays
coming up
in
like 5 seconds, I think.
It doesn't seem like he's smart. It seems like all the cops are so dumb that they're just like really missing all the clues.
Because okay, even like I'm not a cop, okay, guys. I think everyone knows that I'm not a cop. But if there's a serial killer who's aiming for cops, and someone rings my doorbell at 2 a.m, probably gonna be a little bit suspicious as to who that. I mean, I'm suspicious when someone rings my doorbell, and I'm expecting someone to ring my doorbell.
Like we just covered Zodiac, how like the entire like Bay Area was on edge just because they kind of knew a guy killed 4 people, and these cops are just nonchalant about it.
And then this brings me. So then, like the killer's like, "Hey, I thought you wanted to meet me. I'm not clever, but I talk as if what I'm saying is clever." And he kills the guy. And then it cuts to the next day, and Stallone like goes into the crime scene, and the guy has been strung up like Hannibal Lecter strings up like his victims, and he's got like he's got like a baton in his mouth, right, and it's like sticking out. Yeah. And Stallone gets there, and he's like, and this is another reoccurring theme. He's like, "Cut him down, get that baton out of his mouth," and then the chief is like, "Well, we're still like the evidence guys still collecting evidence.
We need to collect samples."
And Stallone's like, "What else are you gonna find? We haven't found anything yet."
And I was like, 3 seconds.
You're supposed to be the good, like the really smart detective. You shouldn't be begging them to contaminate the crime scene.
Is this the same scene? Because
we also missed a major part too.
We missed a huge plot point.
Yeah.
In him buying an engagement ring. For his beautiful, perfect girlfriend who will definitely live forever.
And the most realistic part, whenever he's having drinks with his buddies who also hate him, who also don't hate him, he's like, "I got to get home for dinner. I've got a date with my girl." And they're just like, "Dude, that doesn't even matter. Like, you're already 5 drinks in. What's 6?" And he's like, "I got to get home." He gets home way late, and there's this magnificent roast with like a few slices already cut out. This magical dinner, and she's like decorated the place in police crossing tape, which is weird. And then he wakes her up on the couch and is like, "I'm so sorry I missed dinner. I was out drinking with my bros." And she's like, "That's fine. Like, you're fine, and everything is cool. I don't even care about this dinner that I slaved over for hours."
Right.
And let's just go F word because it's too quick to swear in the podcast right now.
Yes, we haven't gotten there yet, but it's coming up.
Yeah.
And then and then also the scene where he buys the engagement ring is so long and unnecessary. It's like, and she's like, "Oh, this is a great one." That's the thing in this movie, and it happens in a lot of Stallone movies where he has more control. Other than Rocky, Rocky's like he lets his ego not take over. But like the cashier is like, "Oh, what a great ring! You really picked a good one." And like whenever they talk about his girlfriend, they're like, "Wow, how'd you get that good one, Miller or whatever his name is, Mallory?" Yeah. They're like, "How'd you get that good one?" And then like they're like, "You're a really good cop, you know that?" And it's like, why? It's like, why is everyone always praising this guy for no reason? You know?
Yeah,
he gets praised for nothing. Like, of course he picked out a good ring. Like, you work in a ring shop, you should like most of those rings. I mean, you're making them.
Yeah.
But like, come on. So then he tries to contaminate the crime scene, and then he gets a phone. It's a phone call, guys.
At the crime scene,
the crime scene, and he gets it. And he just picks it up. And guess what?
Yeah, he just straight up answers the
Guess
phone.
what?
Guess what, guys? It's the killer. And he's like, hey, what a beautiful wife you have. No, I haven't seen Seven. What do you mean? And he goes,
Right.
what a beautiful wife you have. And he rings the doorbell. And again, listen, maybe I have a window on the side of my door that I just look out. I don't use the keyhole all the time. But anyway, she does. Bam, right in her eyeball. She gets thrown
Flies
back.
across the room.
And then it's murdering time. And so then Mallory's like, he's pursuing the killer. But then the killer's like, oh, then they think he committed suicide. And so then it's so funny because then it cuts to the chief and he walks into the bar that they were in because they only had one location. They're not going to use two. And he walks into the bar and he's like, what, are you taking up stock here? But the problem is Stallone is like so in shape.
Yeah, it's like it's supposed to be 3 months later.
Yeah.
And he just cut his shirt's a little. His shirt's unbuttoned in a messy way, but it's
Like
supposed to be like
he's
at
at
the
a
bottom
downfall.
of.
Yeah.
He's hit rock bottom.
In End of Days, like at least our Schwarzenegger like grew the beard. He grew the Josh beard.
Yeah.
In this one, he just doesn't have 6-pack abs, you know.
Right.
But he still kind of does.
Yeah.
So then they're like, "Hey, you're my best friend. I'm gonna take you to a detox center," and that's why this movie is called Detox. And here's the thing about no, we'll get to it. I'll tell you.
No, actually, we should say too. His boss. This movie is yet another Sopranos reunion because his boss
Dunn is in the Sopranos.
He is the cop he's a traffic cop that pulls Tony over and gives him a ticket for speeding, and then Tony gets really mad, so he uses his connections to like get the guy demoted. So he has to like work at a lawn care store because he can't do like overtime anymore because it's like one of the petty things Tony does, and then feels bad about but doesn't like fix. And then he's that cop, and he has to work at the Fountains of Wayne lawn care store in New Jersey, which was also the band Fountains of Wayne took their inspiration because I think one of them like worked at that store. So.
And also, Robert Patrick played that dude in The Sopranos. Was like, come on, Tony, just give me another chance.
Yeah, Robert Patrick's the degenerate gambler. Same
Tony.
season, I believe, season 2.
Come on, Tony, it's me, Tony. That was like my favorite thing about it. Every time he talked to, every time they had a scene, he'd be like, come on, Tony, it's me.
Yeah,
it's me, Tony.
It's like we were old friends, Tony. Come on.
We go way back. Don't you ever talk about it again? But anyway, so they get to
great
the detox
season,
center.
great show. Anyway, they go to the detox center in the middle of the remote Wyoming woods,
and there's a blizzard.
There's a blizzard.
Yeah, there's a blizzard going on.
This detox, Chris Christopherson runs this detox center.
Okay, and it's insane.
It is in a 1950s Cold War bunker that he bought from the government so cops could have a nice place to detox.
Well,
this place is like if Tim Burton's Batman and The Thing were the same detox center, that's where we're at.
Did they have this from another movie owned by the same studio? Like, is it from
yeah.
Goldeneye or something?
It would be
insane.
Yeah.
I could not wrap my head around what was going on in this movie. I thought we were in a serial killer mode. All of a sudden we're in...
We're in The Thing.
Gotham
it's like
City
The Thing.
Detox Center. It's like, is this the movie?
It's
what
also like you're inviting a bunch of cops that are they all have problems. They're all trying to get rehab for something, whether it's mental health, they just killed someone, they can't get over it, grief, whatever, alcohol, blah blah blah. So you're gonna put them in this place with no windows that they can't leave. And it's just gray cinder blocks surrounding them all together. Like, are you trying to make them do are you trying to do it for them? Like, what the hell?
You think of rehab, you're like, oh, it's gonna be like a nice a clinic that's like a big house in the woods, or where you can like kind of look out the window and reflect on life. Not like literally Hitler in the bunker.
Totally,
style.
yeah.
It is
that we were in Brazil.
It's so cool though. I love this giant abandoned bunker.
I do like it.
And it's like, because it's like every scene, it really is like The Thing or something like that,
Yeah. Also, there's that part where Chris Christopherson is like, they run into one of the workers, and the worker's like, another cop. What? And it's like, I was like, Chris Christopherson You hired someone who hates cops to work in your cop rehab center?
Oh, I forgot
Don't you
about that
think
guy.
that's a
The janitor.
problem?
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, I
that
forgot
Yeah.
like,
all about him.
and
Yeah.
I felt like, oh, maybe that guy was also a patient. No, he specifically picked this guy, and at no point during the interview was he like, oh, by the way, do you hate cops with a burning passion? He's like, what's your name? R. Herring? Okay.
Define burning.
Yeah. But and then also Charles Dunn's like, oh, by the way, even though it's a giant blizzard, I'm gonna stay here and fish so that I stay in the movie
Yeah.
because they paid
Oh,
me
He's
my
the
um,
rate.
coolest fisherman supplier for
we
sure.
we
Yeah.
didn't cover this, but they think the ICU killer. I don't know if that was what he's called, but he kept saying it.
Yeah.
Is dead because they found a body that was hung. They're like, oh, it's probably him, and he committed suicide.
Yeah.
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 So they're like,
Also with
problem over. It's
yeah,
fine.
all good. He's just hitting rock bottom. And like, does anything really involve EYE? Like the
Okay.
title would lead you to suggest.
So that's what I want to talk about. First of all, I love this title because like Detox makes more sense, but if they had titled it Detox, like we said, the killer says and references ICU all the time and it never
Yeah.
has any purpose for no reason. It's just like he's saying he sees you because I guess he's watching the Watchers. But like they also
Yeah, or he's a big James Cameron fan.
yeah, when I thought of that, like you think of ICU, you also think of like I thought it was gonna be a play on ICU, like intensive care unit,
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
especially because it takes place in a
I mean,
hospital.
and it's not.
But
at
it
all.
doesn't. There's no
Yeah.
reason for it to. And
Wait, so
you know-
Andrew, have you not seen this before?
I think I had, but I don't know.
It's the kind of movie. If you ask me
Okay, I figured
tomorrow
you
if I've
had
seen
seen
it,
so
I
much
don't
time.
know if I could
Yeah.
say. No, I
Yeah.
was looking up because I was trying to find. I was like, how did this happen? This movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, this
Yeah.
was based. This was based on the 1999 novel Jitter Joints, written by Howard Swindle. And I was like, who is this guy? Not
Yeah.
a writer. He is just a guy who worked for like a Dallas newspaper, and I guess
His
just was like
Wikipedia redirects to the Dallas Morning News.
to that. And then I was like, well, let me look up this book. And I was like, in the book, it's someone called the 12-Step Killer hunting like people going through the 12 steps because he's like crazy. And I was like, that's much better.
Oh,
That
that's
is a
pretty cool,
much
yeah.
better connection.
Why-
I
and
don't
it's
know why you like took that out. You know?
Yeah. Also, like if you go
Huh.
to this film's Wikipedia and you look up like the production to try to figure out why it was made, it talks about another movie that's unrelated that almost got made. It's like, okay, that's not what I wanted to. It's like, yeah. So that's
This
the
is
level.
like
But
the
so
musical
then,
chairs of figuring out anything about
Oh
this
my
movie.
God.
and then they have like their first session, and
In a
oh,
dank
yeah.
basement
and
somewhere.
there's a very
full of metal
hilarious scene.
concrete.
So yeah, it's a death chamber.
Very vulnerable place to open up about your trauma.
Yeah. And so Sean Patrick Flannery he plays the youngest cop, and he's like crying because he accidentally like shot a kid or a kid died in his presence. Something about a kid's death. And so he's
Yeah.
crying about it, but then they keep showing Stallone and why this guy is like breaking down and crying about what happened to him. Stallone is only thinking about himself and the crime that he witnessed and how it affected Stallone. Like, that's why I forget what Sean Patrick Flannery did, because that scene, instead of being focused on him at all,
Right.
is
What did he
completely
see?
focused on Stallone. And it's
He just saw
just so
something get blown apart.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the kid got shot. Yeah, and
He's
so
like, I'm finding pieces. I found a hand.
but like the only reason they do it is to remind us that the fiance was murdered. But they don't need to
Yeah.
remind us because it's the only thing that's happened so far.
Right. It's
Right.
the movie.
Yeah.
And-
It's
and
not a
kinda-
mystery.
To give you an idea, like, because there's, I don't know, like 8 characters or whatever, but the ones you really, because there's this kid who doesn't matter. Chris Christopherson's the tough but fair counselor, who I think is
Mhm.
also ex-cop or ex-military. That's why he's
Yeah.
doing this for
Probably, yeah. He's got to be.
cops. Robert Patrick is in this scene basically going like, huh, you were sad because you saw a dead kid. It's like- so that's his character.
Almost verbatim what he says.
He's a super
Yeah.
aggressive psychopath, and obviously the killer's still around. Spoilers, but I think it's like the idea is like, oh, he's
red
who it
herring,
should
yeah.
be, but it's like no, obviously it's not going to be this guy. It would be too obvious
Right.
that it's this guy.
And
There's a nurse lady who's just nice. I don't really like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She's just
She looked familiar, but I couldn't place her.
Jeffrey Wright shot.
Jeffrey Wright's
in the
crazy. He tried to kill himself, so his
Yeah.
cheeks all messed up, and he's like
He's a real
the wacky
dick.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really rude.
And
He's
there
not
are
as
like
rude
4.
as the other
Yeah.
guy.
He's more like manic. He's the manic
shit
one.
out of it.
And the others don't matter. They're just kind of there.
Well, and I will, but see, and here's the thing.
Patients don't
Like,
matter.
Robert
Whose line is it
Patrick.
anyways?
Yeah, like those guys they don't matter. The cops said they don't matter. Robert Patrick, like they start doing like that guy starts crying. That guy starts crying, and then Robert Patrick's like, "Hey, what? You killed you saw that kid get killed? That's not a big deal. I see it every day." And then he goes up to Jeffrey Wright, and he's like, "Hey, man, and you try to off yourself? Well, that's not that bad. I wouldn't have missed." And then he goes up to the other guy. He's like, "Hey, whatever you had, I remember that." And it's like, Chris Christopherson, are you gonna stop him at any point?
Right?
Like,
Are you doing this job? And Stallone's the one who stops him, and Stallone is like, "They're just not as strong as we are. They're just not as strong." And that stops him in his tracks from being a dick. He's like, "You're right, but then still."
And then they have another scene where the exact same thing happens, but the guy's like, "Stallone, your wife died?" And then it's like, how do you know all this? How do you know all this information about Stallone? He just got there.
They even do, like, when they're in this circle, they're like, "Oh, this isn't for working the steps you're sharing. This is your time." But it's like, all right, are we supposed to sit here in silence? I'm so like, confused
what
by
am I
this
supposed
rehab
to do?
program.
Yeah,
it's like, of course they're gonna talk amongst each other. I don't know.
Yeah.
This is a bad rehab program, frankly. I don't believe in it, to be honest.
Yeah, there are no rugs anywhere. There are no posters with motivational slogans. There's not even a free coffee machine. There is nothing.
And there's no
cold stone.
They don't even they don't show them really eating, but I assume that it's not good food. It's like they're like in a salt trap.
It's like MREs that were left there in the 1960s.
It would be like if the White Lotus was set in a mental asylum. Like, why is it there? Why is it there? But okay, so then they find Jeffrey Wright, and they're like, "Oh, he did himself in." Oh my god, this episode is never getting monetized. I forgot what happens.
I'm telling you, he unalived himself. Actually,
we have to say he unalived himself. And then, but like everyone's like, "I don't know, that's weird."
And Stallone's like, "Wait a second, I knew a guy once who would stage fake suicides. Yeah. That's interesting."
And also, they took all their guns.
Oh, and we should say too, there's a British doctor. Yeah. Just in case you're rounding up all the suspects of who the killer could be. Yeah. There's a slightly sinister British doctor.
There's also an old man.
I didn't even know he was a doctor until just now.
Yeah, I thought he was a cop. Wasn't he?
He's like their group psychologist or something, isn't he?
He probably is. I believe
because Robert Patrick's like, "Why don't you get inside this killer's head, Doc?" And he's like, "He'll carve you up."
He's like, he'll carve you. He'll carve you up. I'm British.
He's basically in the South Park when they're hunting the serial killer named God.
Yeah, because they're like, who? It could be any one of us. Could it be you, Doctor? And he's like, no, it can't. And it's like, it's you, man. It's you.
But they do because even his boss, Charles Dutton. It's like, "I'll stay behind to make sure you're really like doing well here." So you're like, "Oh, there's like 6 people it could be." Realistically, there's like 2 people it could be, but it's like so they do try to kind of do like the who is it, who's the killer thing, but right away.
So I do have to point this out. The first time Robert Patrick is talking to them and he's like yelling at them, maybe it's the second time, it doesn't matter. But Stallone, to calm him down, he says the line, "You're not the Wizard of Oz. You can't hand out courage." And I just want to point out to you, Stallone, listen to me, Sylvester. That's not what happens in the Wizard of Oz. He already had the courage. The wizard didn't give him anything.
He merely points it out.
That he didn't already have. There's a song called Tin Man by America. It'll explain it right up for you. But yes, that's the level of writing that's in this film, where they don't understand the Wizard of Oz.
This is like I will say,
a bath and a haircut.
This is frustrating. Not to get too far away from this movie, but like Whenever people are like,
please do.
"Oh, I hate Stallone" or whatever, and it's like you're like, no, watch Copland. This is like Copland's a really good movie.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, it's Stallone as a cop. It's gonna suck. You're like, well, yeah, he's in a lot of movies where he's a cop and it's bad. But when he tries, which isn't always, but when he tries, the movie's really, really good. This is just not one of those movies. You know?
I don't think the problem of this movie is necessarily Stallone's acting. I think the problem is the writing.
Because this is a bunch of good actors. That's true. Yeah, it's more like he's leading the entire thing. Like this movie would not have gotten made without him.
And it's kind of that thing with Arnold and with Stallone, and maybe it's like not their fault, but if it's an Arnold movie or a Stallone movie, you kind of put all of the weight on them because they're such big superstars.
They're like larger than life.
Like a Tom Cruise movie. Like if Tom Cruise makes a bad movie, you're like, what were you thinking, Tom? Because you know that he had so much control over that movie. More so than like a regular movie star, you know? And like Tom Cruise lets the directors work, but he picks that director. Like there's a reason that Christopher McQuarrie has made 3 Mission Impossibles or whatever. Right. And so you kind of put a lot of the blame on Stallone, but I think a big part of it is that this movie's just written like a baby who's never
directed very poorly too.
And that's the other
but it's like the screenplay's like a guy who's not even like a screenplay guy. It's like a reporter who's like, oh, I wrote a book once. You know, it's like very weird.
Because it's like then when they're looking at the crime scene, everyone's like, because Stallone's like, this seems fishy, and everyone else is like, no, he killed himself. Like, let's get him out of there. And they're like, what if it's the killer? He might be here. And they're like, nah, it's not. I'm like, why do none of the cops in this movie want to investigate? Like, they're all scared of this killer, and they're all like, can someone stop him? It's like, you're the cop. Like,
it would almost be better if only Stallone was a cop. The fact that they're all cops almost like plays against it because you're like, well, why don't they like have any kind of training or experience to fall back on? Like, it might as well be like Saw, where they're just randos getting like.
Yeah, it would have made more sense because they act like so. Like then they split up, and Chris Christopherson goes outside, which is a cool scene. Let's not lie to ourselves.
Yeah, there's some cool like, he turns like, around scenes. I mean, just the bunker in the snow is cool. Like
I will say the special effects and the kills, well done. But it does suffer from 2000s quick cuts MTV horror edits that for some reason they all loved. Where it'll be like, whenever he thinks of his wife, it's like, it's like that's very distracting.
To be fair, Seven does that too, and I actually think Seven's weaker for it, but I do see like how they're aping that, you know.
But at least in 7, it's like it makes sense because he's like like that scene where Morgan Freeman is saying like, oh, there's like he reads the book and he's like, there's 200 books. He just writes them and puts them out of order. Like he doesn't care if you understand him. So that quick cutting makes sense for that because it's like that's what his brain is.
Yeah, there's like it's like how it's like the Matrix hit it, and then everything was trying to be the Matrix for like 10 years, and it's like this is kind of that with 7. Yeah.
And I think like that kind of like I'm glad we're kind of talking about this because that kind of shows the difference. Like in 7, every time they move along, there we find more about the killer. So by the time the killer reveals himself at the end, I don't know if we want to spoil 7. By the time the killer reveals himself at the end, we know a lot about him. He feels like his own.
It's satisfying. Yeah.
Yeah. In this movie, even when they're investigating, they're only investigating the murder. So it's like, oh, the guy who killed himself, like, let's go see if there's anything around him. But like, they're never trying to learn more about the killer, and also the killer's calling in for some reason.
And the killer, like, his motivation is literally like, oh, I was like killing prostitutes for fun, and you, Stallone, got in my way, and I'm annoyed, so I'm gonna like
kill you,
do weird killer games to you. But it's like this would be in Law and Order. Like, it's like nothing. Yeah. It's like so like someone thought of it in 2 minutes and just kind of put it, like, it feels very first draft, I guess. In that
it's also weird, like, how good, because then Christopherson goes outside, he gets axed. Then Tom Berenger, like, gets electrocuted, and it's like, you guys brought some of these really good actors for this, like, to be in one scene.
Right. And they agreed.
Well, you can't beat that. You can't beat that Wyoming winters. That's what
absolutely. Wyoming winter
movie.
Yeah.
And then Charles S. Dunn's like, "Oh, I was fishing, but then I found a dead body. Something's wrong." And so he's like, "Let me go back." But also by that reveal, it's like, well, yeah, we know there's a killer. Like,
yeah.
You didn't reveal anything,
The last half of the movie, I was having a really hard time.
Yeah,
kind of
paying attention.
I had to watch it a couple times because I really was
Yeah.
like, I have not looked over at the screen for
Me too. I zoned out
30
for
minutes,
so long.
so I had to go back. I was like, he's like,
whoa.
Slater's the killer. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know who Slater is. I'm really gonna have to check.
Yeah.
One of the things is that there's so many characters that like you don't meet them, and
don't
so then
matter.
once they die, it's like, okay, well now like it's like if you guys had like gotten rid of the kid, gotten rid of Jeffrey Wright, maybe had gotten rid of like one of the cooks or helpers. Like, why is there so many helpers? It's like just Chris Christopherson, Robert Patrick, maybe like one or two other guys, Stallone, and then like a cook or something. Like 6 people. But there's like 20 people in this bunker. And so like they have to rush through the murders,
I even just zoned out during that list of the characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very and to be like, there was a moment.
I'm glad that I'm boring.
Because I don't like. I didn't remember any character's name, because
no, of course
that's not going to happen in this kind of type of movie. But it's like they're no Ethan Hunt, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when he's like, "Oh, I told you I've been watching you this whole time," I was like, "Oh, it was like his boss, Charles S. Dutton," which is clever because he's the one who like urged him to come here.
Yeah.
But then it's like, no. The way this guy's been watching him the whole time is he just pretended to be a cop at the same bar and kind of hung out at that bar sometimes, but wasn't friends with him.
Right. Yeah.
Like, okay.
Like, well,
nothing.
Maybe they shouldn't have been screaming across the bar. I'm on your side, killer guy. And then at one point, it doesn't matter who, but they like look at a body and they look up his eyes and it says, "I see." It says "I" on this one, and then it says "see you" on this one.
I did see
but
that.
But it was like, okay, guy, listen, I'm not going to tell you how to do your job, fake John Doe, but "I," and then "see you." It's already there. Then you don't have to fit 2 letters on one eyelid.
But like, couldn't you see like the good version where like the 12-step killer kills them based on different steps in the 12-step program, and you're like, okay, this is like novel. Yeah. But instead, he's just a generic, like, I want the purity to suffer. Like, it's just nothing,
That's the thing is that then, like, you have the little backstory that you have, but they don't play with it. Like in 7, and 7's the easiest example, but some movies do this where it's like, oh, the first guy or the girl who is, like, obsessed with gluttony, or the guy who's obsessed with gluttony, he ate himself to death. There's like a way to match. Or Saw, I want to play a game. You've played video games your whole life. Now you have to play this one and die, There's like a connection. But here, it's like, hey, Chris Christopherson, you wanted to help people? Well, here's an axe to your face. It's like, okay. Why do we need to know anything about
paramedics? Yeah. What do you do?
Also, why? And then again, why are they cops? They don't do any real investigating. And they don't really they don't even use their weapons well. They're bad at everything. Like, just don't make them cops. Make them regular dudes.
Yeah. If anything, like Stallone being the only competent one would like kind of like make more sense. It would kind of like drive it a little bit more.
This movie would have been better if Stallone was the only competent one, and the rest of them were like Keystone Cops, where they're like, oh no, and they were like running in
like
the air.
The last house on the left cops, basically. Yeah.
Like they're in the tunnels and they go in one, and then the killer goes in the other, and then like they meet in the middle.
They Benny Hill it, essentially. Right, and because even then, like, essentially, Stallone doesn't even really... Well, he figures it out, and then immediately the guy calls him. He's like, you were right. I'm evil.
Yeah.
Well, but wait, before that, then they, like, split up, and Robert Patrick gets...
They split up. They're like, let's all go in separate directions.
And he has Robert Patrick, and, like, Robert Patrick's crying, and he's like, oh, I thought you were going to kill me, huh? I'm British. But it's like... What's the point of this scene? Because like Robert Patrick does not get redeemed in any way.
He's he like breaks person. Down weeping like it's like, oh, he was a coward the whole time, and it's like, all right.
It's almost like this movie hates cops.
I mean, me too. But
yeah, kind of.
Like like the cops are like viewed as cowards or like off the handle, emotional. And, like, even the ones that are supposed to be fixed are all looked at as dummies. Like, it's weird how badly cops are portrayed in this movie.
Yeah,
Or
worse than Copland, you would say.
Yeah.
A movie about how cops are bad, yeah.
And we'll get to the end. We're gonna have to spoil this one, but we'll get to the end. So then he kills them, and then like they're like, "Oh, we gotta fight." And then there's a hilarious scene where he gets like a Grim Reaper sickle, and he's like gonna kill the girl.
Oh yeah.
And Stallone sees it over like a bunch of random boxes that are just stacked in the hallway for some reason. And he runs and tackles the boxes, which knocks over the guy. And then they fight, and then he stabs him on a bunch of spikes on the snow machine.
A rolling spike machine.
And
he's there.
Oh, you got
Must
me.
be the power generator. I don't know. Who knows?
And then Stallone takes him off. And goes,
he gets
hey.
mad. He gets more mad after he killed him already.
Yeah. And he goes,
he's already dead.
Hey,
almost.
Do you see me? How about you see this? And he puts him head first into the snow machine.
It doesn't even stab his head. It doesn't even.
Oh, it does.
Yeah, well, they cut. They cut.
Yeah. But it's clearly going to his chest.
It should have gone through his eyes.
And so
something.
Now I'm afraid I'm gonna have to. Oh, I spoiled this movie, but I'm also gonna have to spoil 7. So if you haven't seen 7, you should have seen it already. What the hell's wrong with you? But it'd be like at the end of he's playing the Murtaugh character, the Morgan Freeman character. It'll be at the end of 7. They're like, "What's in the box?" And then Brad Pitt kills them, and then Morgan Freeman would walk up and pull out his gun and shoot him some more. That would have been Stallone's ending.
Then, no. Okay, there is another moment here though. After this, after he defeats the killer with multiple impalements. He walks to a tree branch and puts the engagement ring on the tree for his dead fiance.
Yeah, and then
so cool.
And this is where I was a little bit zoned out by here. But either they cut to a picture of the fiance, or there's a locket there or something.
It's fine.
So you see the fiance's face, and then it fades out everything but her picture, and then it fades, and that's the movie. And it's I don't think you guys realize how little the fiance was in this movie.
Right.
I mean, I know you cut to her a lot,
thing.
but that was more annoying than anything. It made me kind of dislike the fiance.
Yeah, it makes you be like, oh yeah, that's right. He has a fiance. Okay.
Yeah, but I don't know. So this movie, I mean, it's not a lot. It's interesting where it's
it's not terrible. It's more it's so
pointless.
It's not like Ian Lake where I'm mad I'm watching it. Thanks, William, by the way. But it's it's so misses every mark it should hit with great actors and a cool location that you're more how did this not end up kind of entertaining? You know what I mean?
See, and you think of End of Days, where End of Days is technically a horror movie, but Schwarzenegger's still blowing up the devil and shooting random guys, or now there's zombies, so he can blow them away. So if he had wanted to take this horror premise and kind of turn it more into an action film, he could have done that. But it's almost other than Copland, because Copland's great and it's a detective story. But other than Copland, it's Stallone doesn't know that when you do a detective story, there should be an investigation. You should be learning stuff, should be following clues.
Yeah, it's very things happen.
Weirdly structured. Yeah.
But in this one, and there's another one where Stallone plays a cop, but it's every time he finds out, it's because the killer calls him, and it's not I don't mean it's very obvious what the clue is. I mean the killer is literally telling him oh yeah, that was right, you did a good job.
Right. The one time he figures it out because the killer's burning IDs, but partially burnt. It doesn't matter. But it's he figures it out, but then a minute later the killer calls him to be you probably figured it out. And you're you can't even just give him this moment. You know, it's I don't know. It's
It also kind of sucks because, like I said, the cast is really good, and so it's man, I really wish that you guys had thought of something better. I feel like I'm watching The Expendables.
This almost feels
how did this happen? You know,
My Life with Nicholas Winding Refn. How that's a movie. I don't know if William you've seen it, but
My Life directed by.
Is it a show or is it a movie?
My Life directed. It's a movie. It's a documentary made by Nicholas Winding Refn's wife about basically the breakdown Refn was having while he was filming Only God Forgives, and they were like, "Oh, we might divorce because he's losing his mind."
Oh, whoa!
I almost feel like like Howard Swindle writing like I can't believe I got a Stallone movie made. I'm just a journalist. What's going on? Like that documentary theoretically is more interesting than like the movie you see.
Totally.
So this is like almost an Only God Forgives thing where you're like, this isn't good, but I'm almost fascinated how it came together behind the scenes. Because you're like, what set did they use? Where's this Cold War bunker from? How did it get put in the script? You know, like how did all these great actors sign on? You know, it's like fascinating.
Did they find that bunker first and write a movie around it? Or
there's no way. It has to be from Goldeneye or something.
Probably a set.
Yeah.
Now that I'm thinking
it has to be a set. But it's like such a good set. You know, it's like Mystery Men used the Batman Forever sets, right? So it's like this almost has to be that, you know, but like I don't know, it's Universal produced this, so it's like Universal's made so many movies you couldn't even begin to guess.
Maybe they didn't even remember. Maybe it was a burn after reading situation. But yeah, I think like I wouldn't. I mean, you could watch it if you like Stallone. No one's doing a bad job. I think. I just think they don't have anything to work with, and the dialogue's terrible.
Yeah. No, watch it, Bomb Squad viewer, all 27 of you. Watch this movie. Tell us what movie you think the Cold War bunker set is from.
That's the best reason to watch this movie for sure.
Like, just truly, like,
help us figure this out.
Please comment on the YouTube. Be like, this is from Goldeneye, or this is from like some Russian movie. Just something, you know. I was obsessed with the set. It's so good.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys. Thank you for watching. Go see ICU in theaters now. No, it's not.
It's on Peacock. Go watch it on Peacock
for free.
Where garbage lives.
Yeah.